Hello, and welcome again to another edition of George's Corner. I'm your host, George. So, what we're going to talk about right now is something that I think is going to be helpful to a lot of people. And that is, I was having a conversation with some gentlemen, and we were talking about technology, and we were talking about the current way that people do business. And I was explaining to them of a situation where I worked for a telecommunications company a few years back, and part of my job was to make appointments and go out and talk to individuals about getting our services. Now, what I came across was a lot of obstacles and roadblocks because people wouldn't give me appointments to come in and see them. So I came up with an idea that what I would do is call them up and say, hey, listen, I'm very new with the company I'm working for, and what I need to do is get appointments. And I'm not trying to sell you anything, but what I would love to do is just come in, give you my pitch, and then you, as the decision maker, can tell me or critique me if my presentation was good or bad. And so I got a big client, let's just put it that way, who allowed me to come in. It was a woman. She was the head of the department. And what was unbeknownst to me at the time was that I worked with the small business department in the organization I was working with, and didn't know that because we had small, mid, and then we had the what we would call the major markets. And so this company had already met with the major markets for like a year and a half. And again, I quote, did not know anything about the situation. That's why technology meets humanity, as you're gonna hear, comes into play. So she gives me the appointment, lets me come in, do my presentation. It's a Friday afternoon. And as I'm talking to her, I realize that she's disconnected. So what I proceeded to do was just close up my folder, put all of my stuff back into my bag, and I said, listen, I'm a stranger, but I can sense that you're not listening to anything that I'm saying. And so she said, well, she didn't say anything at first. She had this bewildered look, and I said, look, I'm sorry. I hope I'm not crossing any boundaries, but I just have a question for you. Is there anything right now going on in your life that is taking you away from this conversation? And I'm a very unbiased situation, a very unbiased person in this situation because you owe me nothing, but I would like to help if I could. And that's when she proceeds to tell me that she had just got off the phone with her girlfriend and that she was leaving her husband. And so I thought, wow, that's a real earth changing situation. And I didn't really want to be, you know, in the way of that thought process or whatever it was she was going through. But something in my spirit said, no, talk to this woman. So I continued to talk to her and I say, listen, if you don't mind, why are you going to leave him? And she goes on to explain this whole little, not soliloquy, but she goes on to explain exactly why she's leaving him, that there's no more passion in the marriage. And mind you, let me backtrack. They've been married for 15 years. They have a daughter that's in high school. And so I thought to myself, well, she's walking away from a lot. So after she explains everything to me about what's going on, she then in turn says, well, let me let you go because I'm going to call my girlfriend because she's going to meet me there at 6:30. And the first thing that came to my mind and my mouth that popped out, and I surprised myself. I said, hey, call your girlfriend right now and tell her that you can't make that appointment with her. And she says, what? She goes, no, I'm not going to tell her that. I said, let me tell you why. I said, you sat here and you told a complete stranger, me, all about your situation with you and your husband. I said, let me ask you this. Did you explain to him anything that you just told me? She says, well, no. He should know. I said, whoa, he should know is what you're going to say, right? Look, we're not mind reader. As men, I know women think that we know everything. We don't. Let me tell you something about the mind of a man. If it ain't broke, we ain't trying to fix it. We're Mr. Fix It. If there's a problem, we find a solution. So if you're not having any gripes or complaints about what we're doing, our assumption is that everything is fine. So she sits back and says, okay, okay, go on. So I go on to explain a few other things to her. Needless to say, I won't take a lot of your time, but I just want to tell you how this all worked to her benefit as well as to mine. So what occurred is I said, listen, before you leave, go home tonight, tell your husband everything that you just said to me, and let's reschedule our appointment for next Thursday. Now, mind you, it's Friday night. So I leave the appointment. It's evening. I'm going home. Yada, yada. My weekend goes by. I get back to the office on Monday morning, and there's already a message at the receptionist desk saying, hey, please call Miss So-and-so of XYZ Corporation. So I waited till about 10:30. Before I could call her, she had called me again. Is George there? I said, patch her through. So I talked to her. She goes, do you have time to see me today? I said, the day is pretty far spent. My schedule is pretty out there. I said, but I can see you tomorrow. She goes, well, let me get on your calendar first thing in the morning. Okay, great. Tuesday morning, I get out there at about 10 a.m. Now, this is how the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, works. As I'm walking down the hall to meet with her, she's so excited. She runs up and she grabs me and hugs me. And she goes, and finally she catches herself and she goes, whoa, wait a minute. Let's go in my office so we can talk. She closes the door and she hugs me again. And she has tears in her eyes. I sit down. I said, is everything okay? She goes, I'm so happy. These are tears of joy. I just wanted to say thank you so much. I said, why? She goes, you saved my marriage. I said, how did a stranger save your marriage? She says, I went home. I told my husband everything that you said, and he was oblivious to the whole situation. So as I'm talking, explaining, I won't go into all the details she told me, she goes, but he starts to cry. I start to cry. And we're seeing a therapist now, and we just started. We found someone that we could see Saturday afternoon. She made an appointment, which she was able to fit us in. And he had no idea that I still wanted to go dancing. I still had this romantic need to be fulfilled that he wasn't fulfilling, but he had no clue that that's what I needed because I didn't tell him. And my assumption was that he should have asked me. And after talking with you, I realized we were two people who weren't communicating, wanting a lot of times the same thing, but didn't know how to communicate it to each other. She goes, and all I want to say to you is this. The communications contract that we've been going back and forth with, she goes, it's yours. You have the paperwork with you. So needless to say, of course I had the paperwork with me. I pulled the paperwork out. I had her sign everything. I scheduled an appointment time for her to get her tech people with our tech people to get everything done. And the reason I tell you this story is because I went in to discuss with her something technical. I was there to sell her a product and a service. But my spirit said to me that there was more to the situation than what was meeting the eye. And even though they had a problem that I could solve with my technology, what she needed was humanity at that moment. And for those of you who are listening who are in sales environments and are dealing with people in business, the reason I say bringing humanity to technology is that sometimes we put ourselves in a position where we want to win whatever deal or situation that we're in so badly that we forget that we're dealing with people. So, the purpose of my story is every time you go into that business meeting, that luncheon, that coffee, to talk about anything that has to do with contractual agreements or has to do with business of any sort, always remember you're dealing with another human being, flesh and blood, that has feelings just like you. So if you bring humanity to everything you do, trust me, you will be successful. Because first of all, whoever you're dealing with will have felt heard. And let's think about it. As human beings, isn't that really what we want? Is to be heard? Well, at least I do. I hope you do too. And before I go, I want to leave you with one last thing that I like to share with people that I care about. And now I feel like we've gotten to know each other a little better. And that is this. Always be looking for what's not there. That's what creativity is. And always strive to learn something you don't know. Okay? Always be looking for what's not there. And always strive to learn something you don't know. Now, with that being said, go do something for yourself, for the people you care about. And again, for those just joining in, you can email me at george.jones, @yahoo.com. I hope this story has been helpful to somebody. And that's about all I can say. I just had to share that with you because this happened some years ago, and it just came to my mind how miraculous of a situation that was. I feel honored to have been part of saving a relationship, a marriage that could be defunct as we speak. Okay? God bless you all. Smile, because only you can control how you feel. Take care. I'm George. Bye-bye.